From the Oyster Cellar in misty, watercolored downtown Seattle, it's The Dinner Net with Mark and Meg, the official podcast of the Speakeasy Cafe, the Lava Lounge, Teeny Bigs.
Our guest on today's episode is Karuna Long, chef owner of Sophon, a restaurant/bar in the Finney Ridge neighborhood that serves traditional and contemporary Cambodian diaspora cuisine. He also owns Oliver's Twist, a legacy craft cocktail bar located a few blocks north. Karuna, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Good.
So good. I was going to ask how your week was, but I saw on Instagram that you have a new dog.
Yeah, we heard a rumor.
So,
New dog just dropped.
Yeah, just new dog just dropped. It's a pop-up event.
oh my God.
Boo. Get off of our podcast.
But yeah, anyways, props to my friend Lainey for that one. She's she coined that.
I love it.
But no, yeah, I rescued a dog about a month ago and just finally announced on social media that I officially have her.
Yeah.
Yeah, her name is Joey, formerly Zoe. She was with Seattle Humane for a few months and Tacoma Humane for a few months, and kind of fit like that trifecta of least attractive dogs or pets to adopt. She's a black pet, which is already most people kind of are turned off by black pets. She's a pitty, and she's also a senior. Looks like from a backyard breeding situation. So.
Oh, wow.
She won me over, and I wasn't sure if I was ready to have another dog yet after Django passed last March, but she's a real sweetheart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I changed her name to Joey because she does this really adorable army crawl, so G.I. Joey. Yeah. And it was an easy transition from Zoe.
Josephine.
Yeah.
Joanna.
Yeah.
Lots of nicknames can come out of Joey.
Yeah, earlier this week, my brother was calling her Joseph.
Like it.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Broseph.
I love a good full name nickname.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah.
And you like pit bulls.
I do.
Yeah, you've had them before.
Had pitties and rotties. So I love the dogs that people misunderstand.
Yeah.
Aw, wonderful.
They're very sweet animals.
Yeah,
and,
they definitely are.
if they are treated decently, they will be very sweet.
Exactly.
Mark, you're a dog person, right? You've had dogs.
Yeah, I used to have an incredibly adorable, sweet beagle.
Oh, a beagle
little
dog.
Beagle, yeah. She acted like a cat. Her name was Stormy.
Yeah.
And
my gosh.
I love that dog with all my heart.
Beagles are so cute.
Yeah.
I'm like doting on her right now. I'm like, she has some isolation anxiety, so trying to figure out if she will get along potentially with other dogs. Because if she does, maybe I'll rescue 2 more senior pitties, and then we'll start a page called the Golden Girls and have them wear wigs.
Love it. You'll be like me. I have like 500 cats.
Yeah.
It'll be that version.
Karuna the dog guy.
That's
I
right.
love it. Meg, how has your past week been?
Full of cats.
Full of cats. Yeah.
Busy, but like work, like not interesting busy, you know, just like deadlines and trying to think of something else to write for my column and crunching to copy. I went into the stranger offices to copy edit the new issue, which I think drops today.
Okay.
Yeah, cool.
Of the Arts and Performance Guide. I wrote a feature on artist Tarika Waters in it. I'm excited to see it in print.
Yeah.
I write a lot, you know, as you do, but we see it online, and so rarely do I see it in a physical copy. So I'm excited to pick that up.
Well, you got to a symphony show,
Oh, yeah.
right?
So, yeah, and I had written about Seattle Opera's interpretation of The Magic Flute by Mozart, and so I was given free tickets. So we got to go get dressed up and go to McCaw Hall on Saturday night, and it was amazing. They do... That version is on tour, and I think it was actually created in 2012. So an artistic, like an illustration team and a film studio created a backdrop that plays behind the opera. So it's like a silent movie is playing behind them, and then the players, the singers, create the soundtrack. And it was fantastic, and it was very 1920s inspired, and the costumes were sort of like Louise Brooks. There were like one of the characters was kind of a dead ringer for Nosferatu. Like it was very vintage and just a beautiful rendition. And if you know anything about Mozart and the Magic Flute, it's a singspiel, which means they're talking as well as singing. And so instead of them speaking in German, because most people in the audience don't understand German, they would just have the English words above them on in animated on the screens, almost like speech balloons. So it's very compelling and interesting.
Nice.
Especially, I think it's just like a really user-friendly way to do opera to people who like don't speak German or don't speak classical music, right?
Certainly.
It's very easy to follow with all of the blooming flowers behind them, and the singers are like pretending to jump over houses on rooftops, and there's tarantulas, and you know, it's very, very compelling. I liked it a lot.
Cool.
If you have time, I think they're playing through the 9th, March 9th at Seattle Opera.
Nice.
Go catch it.
Yeah, there's time.
What about you, Marco? What'd you do?
I worked a lot as well. I felt like this week felt like a hamster wheel.
Yeah.
But I did manage to slow down, and I got over to Shibuya Hi-Fi.
Oh, fantastic.
And that's a bar in Ballard. I have been meaning to go there forever.
Yeah.
I think they opened about a year ago. And the whole deal with that is it's patterned as a Japanese-style listening bar. A bar that is centered around the idea of listening to music as an activity, not as a
Like on
background
vinyl.
thing. Yeah, on vinyl with really nice components, really nice speakers. When I first encountered it, I wasn't quite sure how to engage with it because if you go to their website, it says our whole centerpiece of the experience is the hi-fi room where you make a reservation and you remove your shoes. There's no talking. And
No
I thought,
shoes.
yeah.
Cool.
And I thought, this seems very formal to me. And
Yeah.
I thought I could see myself wanting to do that, but something about it made me feel like I need to be in the right frame of exploration.
It didn't seem user friendly when I read about it.
Yeah.
So you had a hole in your sock.
That
well,
too.
that's the thing. You got to make.
You're like,
you
shit,
gotta
I
make
can't
sure.
go here. I can't be seen here.
But I stopped by a couple months ago for the first time because it seems like they do have like a regular center bar, like the Rock Box,
Okay.
And they do. You can just roll up and hang out in the main lounge area, and they are playing a really great album over really great equipment, but it is more of a just drop in, hang out, have a drink, chat with your friends if you want. And then, the listening room is more like seeing a movie. So yeah, you would just check their calendar and buy a ticket to it. So it's not so formal like a reservation that you have to like round up a bunch of friends for and figure out who's going to go, because that's what it seemed like to me at first. It's more like, no, we're playing this album on this date and go and listen if you want.
That's really interesting. And I don't think there's anything like that in town, right?
There
At least not at a
isn't.
bar, right?
Yeah, I mean, not in that sort of close level. So this weekend I went to a listening event for OK Computer.
Oh, amazing.
And
I love that album.
Yeah, that was actually the first album that I ever engaged with as a full album that had like come out in my time. Like when I was a teenager, I just used to, if I liked 3 songs from a CD, that would be my cue to buy it. But then I would just listen to those 3 songs, and so I'm very familiar with OK Computer just for like a long time, and they played it through these extremely fancy speakers that are like extremely accurate, and they're called A2Cs, if that means anything to anyone. I mean, it didn't to me, but you hear
it does
so
now.
much.
But since you went, now that does mean something to you, right?
Yeah. And then this Luxman amplifier and a Technics turntable at the 1300. This is their like brand new evolution of the Technics 1200, which is like a classic DJ turntable with a super fancy cartridge. I heard things in that record I've never heard before. There are sleigh bells in the first track, Airbag.
Yeah, I know.
And those sleigh bells persist the entire track. Like if you can listen for them and hear them. They're not like insipid and nagging. They're just there.
They're present.
Yeah, the experience I've always had with listening to a record with like normal equipment is it sounds good, but when a new instrument comes in, your ear focuses on it and kind of replaces the other instruments. And in this very fancy sound system, it doesn't. It just adds, and everything else is still there, I guess is the best way I could describe it.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I've been hesitant to go there because it's just seemed like DJ culture, and that's not part of my world. But I can see that you're sort of being converted to DJ culture. Are you a DJ now?
Yeah.
DJ DJoy.
Yeah,
It actually has a ring to it.
Yeah, it's like it rhymes. It's like you've never heard that one before.
Yeah, and it's I would say it's DJ culture in the sense of like a KEXP DJ, right? So like not like scratching, beat matching, stuff like that.
Fancy EDM.
It's more like you're going to listen to an album in the same way that you would go to watch a movie.
Yeah.
It's a solemn.
Yeah.
It's a work of art. It's a tour. It's like an opera, right?
Totally. Totally.
Cool.
So yeah, that really converted me to that experience.
Well, let's all go. Have you been, Karuna?
I have not.
No.
I've been wanting to go as well too.
Well, let's all go.
Yeah.
For God's sake.
They're cool because, I think most of like the audiophile, quote unquote audiophile community is really focused on like classic rock and jazz and just like the real like legacy canon type stuff, they will play all kinds of music there. Like they spun Kendrick Lamar a few weeks ago. They've got Chapel Roan coming up.
Cool.
I'll
go for that.
Yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff.
Okay.
I like Chapel Roan despite myself.
I do too.
I'm not the demo. I'm a 45-year-old woman, but I kind of like Chapel Roan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Write a hell of a pop song.
It's a hell of a pop song. There's great synths, you know, there's great beats. Like, how can you not like it?
Yeah.
Totally.
That's where I'm.
Now I don't have to look up Chapel Roan.
She has a couple songs. Good Luck Babe is a perfect pop song.
Okay.
So
Beautiful
much.
pop song.
Yeah. That chorus just slaps.
Yep.
Okay.
It'll give you some emotions, especially on like super high hi-fi, right?
Yeah,
the highest of fi.
The highest of fi. Yeah. There's no fi, it's higher. All right. Well, I think I've gone on long enough about.
We can edit some of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna edit some of that.
You got
if you can believe
excited.
it. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show, Karuna.
Thanks, guys.
Of course, we're all friends. We know Karuna quite well. So we're going to pretend, while we ask you questions, we're going to pretend we don't know the answers.
All right. Sounds good.
I'm going to act like I haven't written your biography 5 times already.
I know, right? Well, we do sort of need to get your story out there to people who are listening.
For sure.
It's so funny because we had Jose and Steph on from Bad Chancla and Garzone, and feedback I got was that they wanted to hear more of their story, and I felt like, I thought like Meg and I really told their story a lot, just in other formats.
But maybe people haven't read.
Yeah, so we kind of thought that people knew going in, but
So we got to let them know.
Yeah.
You're Karuna Long, and you own Sophon, and you also own Oliver's Twist, where you worked for a long time before you bought it, yeah?
Correct.
So you were a bartender, bar manager
bartender for a previous life.
Yeah.
Bar manager.
And longtime Seattleite, and you've worked. You're an alum of 9 Mill.
Yep, 9 Mill, Bitterroot, Gracia, Terra Plata. Kind of been around.
Oliver, you worked at Terra Plata.
I did.
Didn't
I was
know
part
that.
of their opening bar team.
Cool, really?
was that
Legend.
your first bartending gig in town?
My first bartending gig in town was at a place called Mexico Cantina in Pacific Place.
Oh my God!
I moved up here without a plan. The only plan was to be close to my family, and moved up without any jobs lined up, and just kind of went out.
It was on the top floor,
Yeah, went out looking for jobs the next day, and they interviewed me and they offered me a job. I'm like, this is easy. I'm like, let me just transition back into this.
That's another fallen Seattle
So much.
bar. The
That
official podcast of Mexico Cantina and the top floor of Pacific Place Mall. I remember it well.
And before that, it was Desert Fire.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my
I remember
God.
Desert Fire very keenly, and I thought it was cool. I was about 20 years old, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, it has such a dramatic name. It really sticks in your memory.
I thought
and makes
that was
it
a good
curious.
restaurant. I thought it was good.
I mean,
when
it was
I
comforting to
a
me.
teen.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought Benihana was fancy when I was a teen. I
me
took
too.
my prom date there.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm doing it up.
Yeah.
Benihana. That was like a few blocks from here.
Yeah.
It was.
street.
Yeah.
So you originally, to me, I knew you as a craft cocktail dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
At OT.
Way back.
OT stands for Oliver's Twist, by the way.
Yeah.
And then was it 2017 when you bought Oliver's Twist?
Yeah. So I took over kind of towards the fall of 2017.
Okay.
And the previous owners were ready to retire, and they wanted to get out of the industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so, just the opportunity presented itself, and after the former bar manager Robert Rowland wasn't able to take over, then I jumped into the opportunity, because the only way Oliver's Twist was going to stay around was if someone that was their former or current employee took over.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And you knew it quite well.
Yeah, I knew it quite well. I knew the community pretty well, so that was a really good opportunity for me to kind of jump into that, since my plan was always to open up my own place.
Yeah. And it has that unique kitchen that someone who's familiar
Very
with
unique.
can only take over.
Yeah,
Famously
very
unique.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you took over, you're selling bacon wrap dates and popcorn and Marcona almonds and things like that. That was the menu.
Yeah, that was
on
the
top of
menu.
Pretty
inherited.
high level craft cocktails.
Yeah. Dan and Sarah. Dan was the culinary mind behind Oliver's Twist when he had opened it. He wanted to keep it like small bites, tapas style, like concept, so that people would want to come in and enjoy the cocktails, have some bites here and there, and kind of build and mix and match plates as they see fit. But yeah, eventually when pandemic happened, we kind of had to pivot, because no one's going to order bacon stuffed dates, popcorn to go, and we're not going to survive off of that.
Yeah,
So
right.
we pivoted to do a Cambodian takeout menu during the pandemic, which really helped us survive.
So your family is Cambodian, of course.
Yep. My family's Cambodian. My parents are refugees. They fled the Khmer Rouge when they were 17 in 19 respectively, and came to the U.S. On the tail end of leaving the Thai refugee camps. So pretty much they came around in the late 70s, early 80s. And I was born in 82 in the Mount Baker neighborhood in the south end of Seattle. And then my family relocated to Atlanta because my dad wasn't too thrilled with the climate up here. So they went closer to where it was like,
Southeast
humid.
Asia,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you get a lot of Southeast Asians along the Gulf Coast because like there are job opportunities when you're along the water like that on a lot of the fishing vessels also, and the climate just kind of fits the Southeast Asian climate.
Michael Wong wrote a story about that in the Viet Cajun food in the new issue of The Stranger that I just finished editing. He said exactly what you just said, that there's jobs on boats, there's fishing jobs, the cuisine is similar, the climate's similar.
Yeah.
So you're down there, and you were in Long Beach, LA for a while?
So after Atlanta, my family moved around a lot. Like we had short stints in the suburbs outside of Chicago and up in the New England area, and then after going back to Atlanta, my parents decided to go to Long Beach because they had the largest concentration of Cambodians, and they wanted to relocate there. So they followed my uncle-in-law and my dad's sister, whose family originally set out to move to Long Beach to open up a donut shop because Donut King Ted Ngoy offered an opportunity for them to open up a donut shop. So they moved out to Long Beach, and then a couple years later, my parents and our family moved out and followed suit. But unfortunately for my uncle, when they moved out for that opportunity to open up a donut shop under Ted Ngoy's guidance, that was kind of the downfall of Ted Ngoy, and he had already gotten into like this whole like gambling addiction and like all this debt. So like all of his donut empire started to like kind of crumble. And so inevitably, my uncle and his family had to like pivot and find a different route in how they were gonna survive out in Long Beach. And during that time, my dad was a musician, so he moved. So music took him wherever, and being around the largest concentration of Cambodians, like it was seamless for him to just kind of be integrated in the arts and music community.
And it's warm down there.
And it's warm down there.
And you can eat Cambodian food. You don't have to search around for it like here.
Donuts too.
Yeah, and donuts.
Every birthday, someone's showing up with a pink box.
I did not know until I started hanging out with you that many donut shops in the U.S. are specifically Cambodian.
Yeah. There's a good percentage.
Yeah, and the pink box is the earmark. That's how you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, probably not now because everyone has the pink box now.
Yeah, apparently Ted Ngoy, after seeing Breakfast at Tiffany's and he's seeing the iconic blue box, decided to go with the pink box because it was a lot more inexpensive compared to your traditional white box, and to like create like a signature lick for the donuts.
Smart.
Yeah.
So you land in Seattle in early 20-teens,
Yeah, 2010.
2010.
January 2010.
Okay, you land in Seattle in January 2010. You're working at OT eventually, and you realize that there is a hole in the local cuisine blanket for Cambodian food.
Yeah, I feel like the pandemic really kind of opened my perspective a little bit more to like realize that there wasn't accessibility or even a story for what we're doing with our culture coming from a place like Long Beach where it's on every corner.
Right, exactly.
It's you don't really think about it, and I didn't really think about it when I was pre-pandemic because if I wanted Cambodian food, my brothers and I just get together and cook, or we go to our moms, and it's easy, or we go to our relatives. But the pandemic really made me force a perspective of like, how can we make this more accessible to the community? And I think the biggest confidence I got from it was because the takeout program was so popular and the community had been supporting it. And I think the biggest confidence is, the community of Finney Ridge and Greenwood that had been supporting OT for so long. They were just so great about supporting it and keeping us going that then it just gained popularity, and then other folks would come from other different neighborhoods, and Cambodians would come out of the woodwork to come support as well too. So that gave us the confidence to eventually open up Sophon.
I remember when you did that first pop-up, I didn't know you, and I had never had Cambodian food, but I remember seeing the line down the block, like the enthusiasm of the crowd. Because, I'm not going to say there's no Cambodian food, but there's very little.
Yeah. There's a new place called Khmer Style that just opened
saw that.
up.
Yeah.
In
there's
Kent.
some now, but back in 2017.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
You have,
or I guess that was back in 2020
Yeah, back in 2020.
at the top of the pandemic.
I feel like at that time also Donna and Diane, the Ung sisters that now took over Phnom Penh Noodle House from their parents. I feel like they were also at like a junction, and then pandemic, so like it forced their hand to close for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then fortunately, I'm really grateful that they're able to survive and reopen, because that's a legacy Cambodian identity spot in Seattle, and we need those places that are those legacy spots, just like any legacy cocktail bar, and such in the community.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you have a kind of unique ethos with Sophon, where you are wanting to preserve Cambodian culture, but also push forward into diaspora and contemporary ways of preparing things. How do you balance that?
In the beginning, I was I was kind of embattled mentally on like my confidence with that, because you'll always get the purists, you'll always get the old heads that are like, this isn't traditional and XYZ. But it got to a point where I think when I really accepted it was like when my parents came in and my relatives came in, and they're like, this tastes exactly how we remember the flavors tasting when we were kids, or this and that. And then as we continue to get more Cambodian folks coming in, older and younger generation, it means a lot. Like I get people coming in, they're like, my mom's not around anymore, but having this made me feel like I was sitting in the kitchen with her again. And like, the plate up may not be the same or this and that, but I think that has allowed me to gain a lot more confidence in being able to do what we're doing, because in the beginning I was worried about authenticity, because authenticity is so different for everyone. And for me, I wanted to be a blend of the traditional items, but then also things that my brothers and I grew up off of, growing up in the areas we grew up off of it as well too.
Yeah, and culture isn't static, so...
Right, it changes, it updates, it evolves.
Exactly.
And so for a culture to be a living thing, it has to be able to evolve and change and,
Right, and like your culture, although you're born in the U.S., is a culture, right? We were talking to Steph last week about how she grew up in a white household without any, food. And I'm like, well, I grew up in that household too. That's our culture, whether it's interesting or not. Like, your culture is an American-born Cambodian person.
Yeah.
And you have different ingredients and different culinary influences, and that's a culture.
Yeah.
That's what you're serving.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up a kid that loved Mickey D's, and so it's like that's intertwined in who I am as well too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sophon is closing in on its 1-year anniversary, right?
Coming up.
And how do you feel about like what you've accomplished there so far and what you've brought to the menu? And I know you're so ambitious. Are there things that you're like, I'm raring to do this still? And
first and foremost, like I'm really excited that our 1-year anniversary is coming up, because that's a milestone in itself.
Absolutely.
I think with just the ebb and flow of things changing in this city, it's always being ambitious and wanting to do what I want to do is always in the back of my mind. But sometimes I'm like, it does take like a mental toll of like trying to balance what you need to deal with on like a non-culinary side, and like and just planning what we need to do to execute. And a lot of this, I give a lot of my flowers to my sous chef Alex, who's been holding it down and making sure that things are running really smoothly. Because there's a period where we were trying to launch a new winter menu back in December, and then just kind of a bunch of dominoes fell that like kind of went the opposite direction for us. And then so it just kind of like created this whole like mental health situation for me, and Alex held the kitchen down for me. So it's like we try to stay up to date on what we're trying to change seasonally, and it's taking a little bit longer. But I'm really excited for the 1-year anniversary. We've got a bunch of new menu items that we're planning to integrate coming on.
Really?
Yeah, and then I have some plans with a couple Cambodian chefs that are from other cities to come and do collaborative events with us too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
I think the thing that made me ask that was that, I've been noticing, and of course we're part of that in a way too, is that Sophon's been getting a lot of acclaim.
Yeah.
And in that acclaim, I think expectations get solidified in a way. Like people come in wanting to find the dish that they heard about in the article. And I wonder if that's created some pressure for you to keep things more the same than maybe you intended, or if it's just sort of like, we're just going and, it doesn't really matter.
I feel like to a degree, yes, you're right. Like sometimes the pressure does make you feel like you want to keep some of the things the same, because if someone's reading about a cocktail, they're reading about a dish, like you don't really want to take that away, because what if they come in? They're like, wait, I read about this dish or I read about this cocktail. Why isn't it on anymore? And that creates this dissonance, and like people get upset. Then when they come in, they're looking forward to this. But I think that it's just finding ways of like reinventing those items, or with just like new proteins and et cetera. I think that's really important. Like our curry dish with the mackerel, everyone loves it, and we just recently switched it up to a version with black cod.
Oh, really?
And,
I love that.
And it's
dish.
still definitely a fan favorite.
Yeah.
But we're working on this version. It's like, for lack of better phrasing, so it's called some law coco, and it's essentially like a Cambodian ratatouille stew. So I want to be able to bring that on likely this Wednesday or Thursday, and get that going, and so that we can really enjoy the send off for winter as spring comes along, and then we have a few new items coming on for the spring menu, and then along with the collaborations as well too.
You're gonna keep that pork belly on there? I need it.
I think that people will kill me if I took that off. So that's likely going to stay on as we continue to like expand our menu. Yeah. We've been wanting to launch brunch. We were originally trying to launch brunch this month, but just a bunch of things going on and like staffing changes. So we're probably going to push it off till a little after Cambodian New Year. And with that brunch, launch, we're going to be doing a collaboration and inviting Chef Van Oren, who is the chef baker at Cafeteria down in Houston, and he's going to do it's a 2 times James Beard nominated.
I was just going to say fellow nominated.
Yeah, they're doing Cambodian baked goods and pastries, and so they're going to come up and do a few special items just for that weekend that we launch brunch.
Awesome.
And then it's a good send off, and then in October for Chubby, which is the ancestral holiday, we're going to have Chef Ethan Lim out of Hermosa from Chicago to come do a collaborative dinner with us as well too.
Amazing. Will you talk a little bit about your bar program? If we haven't mentioned it yet, Sophon has been nominated for James Beard for its bar program. And I know that you come from a bar background. Like, I don't want to say that you're the only Cambodian restaurant that's doing Cambodian cocktails. Like, is there a cocktail culture in Cambodia? And how do you come at it creating one here in the U.S. with American-style craft cocktails infused with Cambodian flavors? So
I was back in Cambodia a couple years ago with my parents and a couple friends, and there really isn't a cocktail program going out there. When we were there was a place that was around. It was called Prai, which is a Khmer for forest or like jungle.
Cool.
And it was a really beautiful cocktail bar, and it was like a speakeasy in itself because the storefront was just like a bottle shop, and then you walk into the bottle shop. There's like a door behind the counter, the cash register. So you'd have to walk around the cash register to walk into this place. When you walk into it, like the decor is like you just walked into a jungle. And their cocktails were amazing, very well done. But there wasn't much of a cocktail culture in Cambodia because there still isn't a lot of accessibility to broader spirits.
Right.
Like that cocktail bar was. Prayu was able to do what they're doing because the owners happened to be like U.S. born and Cambodians, and they were doing a lot of import-exporting on their own accord. And so they were bringing stuff from the U.S., so from other parts of Asia that have accessibility to things like Campari and all that. And when it came to Sophon after that trip, it's like I've always envisioned Sophon to have a cocktail program that's parallel with the food program, because otherwise the story kind of gets lost. And so I had ideas that I had been kind of playing around with in my head and for a while, and like jotted down. And then when I brought on Dakota Etley from OT, who formerly is from Rumba, he had expressed some interest in Sophon. We kind of sat down to figure out how like the creative ideas and mentality align. And I felt like he was like the perfect person to kind of take what I was envisioning and bring it to life. And so it's like it was very much a collaborative effort. Like Dakota led the program, and I had ideas here. Some then the rest of his bar team, some of the front of house, especially anyone that was like of the culture, like understood Southeast Asian ingredients. It's like there was very much a collaborative effort.
It was a team effort.
Yeah, and I really do appreciate that Dakota was able to take those ideas and what the story and the vision was for Sophon as a whole, and like to take that to where it needed to be as well too.
Right, because he's not Cambodian.
No, he's not Cambodian, but he definitely treated it like he was.
He's
Cambodian.
willing to learn. Yeah, he was dedicated to the project.
Yeah. Well, Meg, should we get to some news?
We should, but before we do, once again, first of all, I have to open my LaCroix because it's loud now that we're taking a break.
Yeah.
Edit that out if you want.
I probably
It's
won't.
lime today. It's not cola. Sadly, I ran out of the cola. But also, I went to have drinks with my bestie the other day, and I was at Awajimaya beforehand, and I got these little candies. I was meant to share them with Bess, but I forgot. So I'm sharing them with you guys now.
All right.
Next to the Botan rice candy, there were these candies, and they...
Yeah, it looks like
hold them up to the camera.
Is it like yuzu?
a half pack of cigarettes.
Possibly, yeah. It's kind of like a tall, skinny miniature cigarette box. And when I used Google Lens on the cover, it said it was Bonton, not Botan, rice candy with fruit.
Okay.
So I think that we should sample it. Yeah, that could be a yuzu, lemon, yuzu, citrus.
Yeah.
But I think that we should try these rice candies before we talk about the news.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Mark,
Looks
you
like-
go first.
Looks like Japanese Ricola.
It kind of
Yeah.
looks like Nicorette also. Let's see. They're very Botan rice candy-esque.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They taste exactly the same, except they don't have as much of the rice paper on them.
Mm-hmm.
There's really not much to them. That's sort of a...
Yeah. This segment is either ASMR or it's very off-putting to people that have that chewing thing. So, that's what the 15-second skip is for.
I would say buy this for the package only.
Yeah.
They're fine.
It is sort of just lemon oil extract
Yeah,
kind of
just
tasting.
a very gentle hint. You can make a cocktail version of lemon rice candy, maybe.
Could be a garnish.
A garnish.
Cocktail garnish.
Yeah, that's what I was
There you
thinking.
go.
It reminds me a little bit of that mastika that we had at Hamdi, actually. A little bit. I don't know why I ate another one.
It's like a stickier
Shit.
Turkish delight. Yeah, you're going to be chomping through that, and
here's the news.
We'll wait.
All right, whoever finishes chewing first can start talking the news.
Yeah, no kidding. Triumph Valley and Shoreline has announced their soft opening on Tuesday, March 4th. So when this episode drops, they're having their soft opening. If you're not familiar with Triumph Valley, it's a very highly regarded dim sum restaurant out of Renton. In a 2022 review in the Seattle Times, Ton Vinh called it the first dim sum in Washington state that can plausibly stack up to the Cantonese restaurants around Number 3 Road in Richmond, BC.
Ooh, shots
So,
fired.
yeah, that's high praise. And so their Shoreline location is going to be on Westminster Way. It's in the former Super China Buffet
Okay, so
building.
it's by Central Market.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
I think is now called Town and Country.
Oh, right. Town Country.
But yeah, so per their Instagram, the soft opening will be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. I would expect it to be mobbed. This expansion has been long awaited. I think they first teased it almost exactly a year ago, and the neighborhood, of course, was jazzed. So I would expect there to be lines, but and I don't know how long the soft opening phase is going to be. I tried to figure that out. There wasn't information on that, but there was information about what their hours are going to be once they do fully open, and that's going to be Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., and then with dinner and a smaller dim sum menu from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., and then Saturday, 10 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. and 5 to 9.
Do restaurants, when they're in soft open, necessarily know how long they're going to be in soft
No.
open? Or
Yeah.
do you're just like, all right. I remember Rita at Ludi's being like, we were in soft open, and then one day I was like, what if we just opened the door? Like, what if we just like called it and now we're ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, originally, I was trying to do a soft opening at Sophon for like 2 weeks tops. It ended up being February till April.
Yeah. Right? Who
Yeah,
knows?
I mean, there's no
As long as you
standard-
need, it's
Yeah.
natural.
I don't even think there's a specific definition of soft opening, Like some
Yeah.
people think of it as, oh, it's an invite-only thing, with friends and family or whatever, and then they'll open for real. And,
Right.
the soft opening was just the invite-only part. And then, others, I think it's more common to kind of think of it as our first month in business or something. But,
Yeah.
that's an exciting thing. I mean, I'm looking forward to trying it. Although
Yeah.
I'm not a brunch person, in terms of competing in the crowds. The idea of not having had coffee or food and then
And
battling
standing in a line. Yeah.
and
Okay.
then battling a crowd, that's not what I want.
I also feel like I don't want to be complicit in stressing the brunch servers out even more. Like, I don't want to add to it.
yeah, exactly.
You guys have your hands full.
Yeah, so I tend to wait till places are a little bit more chill if they
Yeah.
ever are. or go at a more chill time for it.
Yeah.
You know.
I have a news item that I forgot to say last week, so I'm a little slow on the uptake here. But there's a new spot on the Old Billy Beach location in Ballard. Did you guys know that? I saw it on the My Ballard group on Facebook. Did you know this?
I think I remember driving by and seeing it, but I can't
There's a
recall what it
sushi
is.
spot. It's called AA, like Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know.
Right.
So when I looked it up online, it was lowercase AA, but I see in various places it's AA, capital AA, and people in the Ballard group like it. And I don't know anything about it other than it has a Kirkland location. But
Got it.
I'm glad something's in the space, right?
Oh, totally.
That's on Leary, just south of Market Street.
Yeah. Yeah, I walked by that a while ago and kind of thought, oh, okay.
I love Billy Beach, so I have nostalgia about being in that space. So I'm glad that we
I
can.
don't even know what Billy Beach looks like.
Oh, well, screw you then. No.
No, I mean, like, I don't know who the person Billy Beach looks like.
No, Mr. Beach was
Mr.
a
Beach.
sushi.
Yeah.
He's a cartoon dog or something.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh, really?
know.
No, he's
Oh,
a
no.
sushi tycoon.
Yeah,
like
that's what I
the,
thought,
like the
yeah.
Monopoly.
Yeah. Sushi tycoon.
I've been making sushi since you were in short pants. I'm Billy Beach.
Billy,
You know, I don't
William
know.
Beach.
William
Beach.
H. Beach
William-
the third.
William
Willard.
H. Beach Bonnie.
Yeah. Let's see. What else we got? Oh, Seattle Cocktail Week is underway. So that started on March 2nd, and it's going until the 9th. And if you're not familiar with Seattle Cocktail Week, it's basically a week-long event that contains tasting events, bar takeovers / pop-ups, bartender competitions, limited-run cocktails, and other special events. And they're kind of going around all over town. You can go to seattlecocktailweek.com for info and participating bars. And Karuna, I think both OT and Sophon are participating, I see on the website.
We are.
Yeah.
And you'll have to check out both locations to find out what the cocktails
You're
are.
not going to tell us?
Nope.
Because you don't know.
Nope.
I
I do know.
Okay.
Oh, it's secret.
do
You
know.
gotta
I do
go
know.
in and.
Yeah,
You
you
got to
gotta
get
go in.
people to come in. Yeah.
I like it. I trust that you'll put out something rad.
Do you guys know if they're doing the Cavalcade of Cocktails sort of
The
convention thing?
The Carnival of Cocktails.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
so. I think that's going on right now. I was literally texting Benjamin Wright before I
yay.
came in, and he just said if I had time to swing by his booth today.
Are you going to go?
I've got things to do after.
Okay.
But I
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah.
But y'all should go.
We'll see if we can weasel away. And other news, we've got Kemi Dessert Bar opening at 12th and Denny on the Hill in the space that was formerly Coping Cookies Bakery. And the woman's name is Kelly Meow. She's a New York City transplant who ran Kemi in New York as a pop-up, and now she's in Seattle, and they're doing Asian-style desserts. It's pretty interesting. She's got like a Basque cheesecake that she puts matcha in, or like Hong Kong milk tea, or different flavorings. She's got a Vietnamese coffee toffee cookie. She's got blueberry jasmine yuzu cake and a black sesame hazelnut thumbprint cookie. It's interesting stuff. And our friend Teresa.
Yep. Our former pastry chef and beloved friend Teresa Hong.
Hong.
She is now part of the pastry team there.
Great.
She's got an opportunity to be focused in a kitchen and a program that's more bakery focused.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited for her, and we all got to pay her a visit as well too, because
Yeah.
everything looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
Really beautifully done as well.
Yeah, they soft opened on the first, and I heard they sold out so quickly.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, they kicked ass. Like,
I'm glad to hear that. Cool. Any more news?
Yeah, there's a little bit of bar news happening. So, bait shop owners Mike Leifer and Jonah Bergman have taken an ownership stake in Linda's Tavern.
Okay.
This is per Linda's Tavern and Bait Shop's Instagram. So, the post says, starting in February 25th, which of course is past, they will be the bar's managing partners. So, those two bought Bait Shop back in 2016 from Linda Dershang. And it sounds like Linda will remain part of the ownership group of Linda's still. When she sold Oddfellows Cafe and Little Oddfellows while preparing to move to New York City in 2022, she had told Tan Vin in the Seattle Times that she had no plans to sell her two remaining bars, which at the time were Linda's and King's Hardware. So she still has an ownership stake, but it sounds like those two are going to be running the show there henceforth. I think the thing prior to this was that Linda was coming here every month to kind of fine-tune things and check in and manage. So I don't know what her plan is exactly, but those two did a great job with Bait Shop, and I expect they will do a great job with
Bait
Linda's.
Shop is a place that I'm never like, gotta go to Bait Shop. But then if someone's like, meet me at Bait Shop, I'm like, this place is fucking great.
Yeah.
And they've got all those great frozen cocktails. And I don't know, I just enjoy being there. It's a vibe. Like, it's a very specific vibe that I don't think you can get anywhere elsewhere in Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. It's so of classic Capitol Hill.
Totally.
And it fits in with current Capitol Hill too somehow, in this sort of ineffable way.
Yeah.
I think, does that do it for news for
think
us?
that
I
does
think it does.
Good news, everyone.
Yeah. Well, we have a few things we want to get to with you, Karuna. Like, we want to talk about Chubby Brown Boys and also the James Beard Award. What should we start with?
Well, I'm eating a fruit rice candy, so I can't talk.
That's all right. You might. I was thinking of this as an edit mode anyway, just sort of like.
I'm kind of an agent of chaos on the podcast.
All good.
Do you have emotions about getting your James Beard nomination?
I think it's still like a learning curve for me, like trying to figure out what I'm like, how I'm supposed to feel about it, because it brings a lot of pride and joy and all that. But I feel like it's there was a time where I felt like that was unattainable. Like I always thought that, like, local food politics and all this stuff. Like I felt like that was how you got nominated, and I thought that there was only one way to get nominated. Yeah. And so, obviously being nominated is exciting, and it brings a lot of joy and pride to not just myself, but to the team, to the morale of everything, and the work that we're putting into what we're doing. So, like, to be able to receive those flowers is it's great. Yeah. Just the acknowledgement itself, it adds another level of, like, I guess, acclaim and notoriety for what we're doing. But at the same time,
I like it.
At the same time, notoriety, because there's gonna be people that are, like I said, purists of the culture that come and like, why like this isn't reminding me of my mom's kitchen, but this isn't this. It would be great if it reminds you of your mom's kitchen, but let's face it, this is the representation of my mom and my brother's kitchen.
Right, exactly. That's your culture, not their
exactly.
culture.
Yeah.
I feel like that happens a lot, just as a slight aside. And it happens to me as well. Like, if we'll go to a restaurant and maybe we don't like the food, and initially you're like, well, this isn't the thing that I wanted. And then you realize it's not for you.
Yeah.
Like, it's for someone else, and someone else likes it and is excited about it. Like, not everything is for everyone. So,
yeah. I mean, there's a difference in execution that doesn't happen correctly and an execution that does happen correctly and just isn't for you. It's a whole different thing altogether.
I don't know about you guys, but there was a time maybe 5 or 6 years ago when I would have been like, fuck the James Beards, like, who cares? And I've come to realize the value in getting a nomination and an award.
Yeah, we were texting about this beforehand. Like, because I always felt like, the James Beard is like the Oscars or Grammys, or
totally.
like, it's not really like the thing that I care about. But then on the flip side, when I hear that a Seattle place has gotten a nomination, I'm like, yes.
You feel pride, and you're like, they're seeing that thing that I see.
Exactly.
Someone agrees with me that this place is fantastic. That's how I feel now.
Yeah, and then I feel salty when we get slighted. If we get shut out and
so
actually
we do
winning.
care.
Yeah, exactly.
We secretly do.
I think this year there's going to be someone from Seattle that's probably going to win a James Beard award, like, after they get named finalists. And if I'm looking at anybody, I'm looking at looking directly towards the general area of Ravenna. And if you're familiar with Ravenna, the Pancita's over there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's your pick.
That would be my pick, hands down.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not. We might win more than one as a city.
But to be honest,
not necessarily just one.
No, to be honest, but we would love to at least get one, because we've been snubbed. But I feel like
last year.
I feel like Chef Janet, Melissa Miranda, who's like one of my heroes, and Aaron and his team at Archipelago. Like, those are just some. They're just some standouts. They're doing some amazing things.
Once again, Seattle, not actually a third-tier food city, as some websites may claim. I think we've got a lot of stars here.
Yeah, we do.
So I guess that validates. I guess we do believe in the James Beards. If we're kicking ass, we're doing world-class things here.
Yeah, we built the city on fucking rock and roll.
On grunge.
Do you feel a friendly competition with Roquette, who's also nominated in the bar category?
No, because we're a baby. Roquette's been doing the damn thing. I love Eric. Eric. Whenever Eric has any extras, I'm like, yo, let me get that. And I'm like, I just picked up I can't even think about it right now. Like a vacuum sealer that he's using for the bar program, and he had an extra one. I'm like, I got that. I got this other contraption to put together cocktails as well. And Eric and his program, they're just doing a stellar job.
So
and,
Rocat is your lending library, your mentor.
Yeah, they're just good friends. And like Kite and I are always running into each other at Russell's. So like I always love catching up with them and shooting the shit.
At Russell's.
Yeah.
Nice.
Russell's Tavern.
Yeah.
Industry bar.
Yeah.
Total under the radar
Absolutely.
industry bar.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Stoneway.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Rocat too. They're right in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Karuna, do you want to talk about Chubby Brown Boys at all? I know Jose covered it 2 shows ago.
Yeah, so we're still trying to fine tune things, but the plan is a little combination of what Jose wants to bring with just bar snacks and drinking foods combined with what I'm doing, what I want to put together, and our concept was put together and coined by Jose. Chubby Brown Boys were 2 short, chubby brown boys, and we love food and we love music and we just love culture.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of a drinking snack that you might be bringing to the table?
Oh, let me peruse through my phone quick.
Absolutely. Yeah, because when we had Jose on, he expressed his vision for that very, very clearly, and
obviously didn't talk about your vision because you didn't know, right?
Yeah, so we want to hear what your part of it is.
All right, so a couple of things that I've been thinking of. We'll probably have a daily count on it, but I want to do potentially a play on salt and pepper wings,
Nice.
but instead it'll be salt and pepper frog legs.
Ooh,
Really?
Toasted rice powder, macroot lime to dip it in, and pickled jalapenos. I also want to do. We were testing this out at Sophon a while back, but it'll also be like a limited item. It's a play on a crab cake, but it's with the lion's mane mushroom.
Ooh.
And the crack, then a crack sauce, bright herbs, curry aioli, and I've been trying to figure out what I want to name the crack sauce that I make, and I was torn between dengue fever sauce, but it has such a negative connotation, so I think I'm gonna call it tuk tuk tray because tuk tray means fish sauce, and tuk tuk is a common thing in Cambodia.
Yeah.
And it's a trademark patent pending.
Okay.
So no one steal my
Don't steal his
I'm going to be
thing.
working with Mahogany Williams, the pickled chef, to bottle my sauces, and I think that brand is going to be Tuk Tuk
Awesome.
Tray. So it'll have 2 images of tuk tuks and then 1 fish. So then it's like our different brands of like crack sauces. Yeah.
Thank you for mentioning Mahogany because I keep meaning to reach out to her to be on the show.
She's blown up.
Yeah.
She's got her pickled goods in PCC now.
Nice.
And if you are not privy to it, you better get on it.
Yeah.
Jose was saying that he might bring the Don Bronco sandwich that he did for
that'd be so good.
Lil
I love it.
Woody's
I love
to
it.
Chubby Brown Boys. Are you thinking of doing your burger there too, or are you kind of thinking, this is gonna be one sandwich?
The burger's likely going to end up at Sophon. Like we're planning to launch a Wednesday night industry night, so where it'll be like a limited bar menu, and then as it grows, we'll start to expand it across most of the nights after service as well too.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I want it.
Mm-hmm.
Shall we talk about the things that we ate on Thanks I Ate It?
Let's do it.
I ate so many things.
I see your notes.
I will go really quickly and not dwell too much on them. Very quickly, before we went to the opera on Saturday, we went to Cafe Munir
Oh, so good.
at 80th and 24th. Steven's son works there. Don't bother him. I know I'm very famous, but please don't bother my de facto stepson. We had a gorgeous meal. As always, you can't not have a gorgeous meal at Munir. We had, of course, the hummus with sizzling lamb on top. You got to get it. We had grilled cauliflower with tahini and crispy onions on top. And the crispy onions are so good. They're like caramelized onions, but more so, very intense. We had green beans with garlic and harissa. We had that charred Arabic bread that is filled with cheese and chili. So it's sort of like a tiny pizza. It's like a hachapuri sort of. Oh, so good. And I had 2 drinks. Autism made me have 2 drinks, which was the rose hibiscus soda, which is house made, which was really subtle, actually. Steven's like, oh, I don't know if I like floral stuff, but it wasn't too floral and it wasn't too hibiscus either. It was just really nice and mellow. And then Munir has a fantastic whiskey scotch program,
Right.
which I think people don't talk about it. I don't know if they think it's because they think the owner's Muslim or something. They have a really good bar program. And so I got a Finlagen Old Reserve.
Yeah, how was that? I'm really curious about that.
It was very nice. I liked it a lot. I love scotch and I don't know a ton about it. So I try a new scotch every time I see one. I haven't tried it and I really enjoyed it. And it was really nice with the rose hibiscus soda as well.
Fantastic.
So beautiful meal. One thing I'll say, Munir does such a great job with veggie dishes. Like there's so many of them. And they're so good and luxurious.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah, I love that spot.
Ooh, yeah, I love Munir.
When's the last time you went to Munir?
It's been maybe a couple months, but on the topic of places I've eaten, finally my schedule freed up to go visit Mark and Sully at Cafe Solomon after the remodel.
Great.
So
Cool.
their food always slaps. You know, them, Neil, and Sharon, like their whole team is really amazing. I've always loved what they do, and they're just really kind people.
What did you eat?
I had their hummus with non-sizzling lamb.
Flat lamb.
Yeah, and we also had we had the hummus and lamb. We also had their roasted carrots with harissa. It had like a nice spice and like tang to it as well too, under some lebne. And then had a couple. We always let Mark take the wheel with the wines as well too.
Yeah, we were drinking sherry. We were asking Mark for sherry the other day.
Yeah, and then after that, and I was sitting next to this lady, and I was like just chatting with her. She was super quiet, and I was kind of being the friendly me that I usually am. And she had mentioned to Sully when Sully walked in, he's like, "Oh, I got the tote bag from Little Woody's." She's like, "I had all 4 sandwiches," and then like at the end of the meal when I was leaving, I'm like, "Oh, thank you for grabbing the first sandwich at Little Woody's." She goes, "It was interesting." And I was like, "Oh no, roasted." I'm like, "Shh."
I recognize you. Didn't care for your work,
but it's all good. People have their own palate, and I'm not even fazed by it. But I thought that was a funny interaction. And I also went to the Xiaolongbao House up in Shoreline, which is amazing. It's small. It's in a little strip plaza next to, I think it's like the Hideaway Card Room or what used to be right there.
Sure, yeah.
And so that place is amazing. Their mapo tofu is probably the best mapo tofu I've ever had.
Really?
And I'm only used to mapo tofu with pork in it, and this is completely vegetarian.
Oh, it is.
And it just like slaps. The flavor is great. We had these stir fried rice noodles, where usually whenever anyone does stir fried rice noodles, the thin like cylindrical ones, I always think that it's gonna be super soggy. But like it had like a really nice bite to it. It was delicious. Grabbed a sandwich at Beast and Cleaver when it was supposed to be Philly cheesesteak day, but they called an audible morning of or the night before and did a brisket sandwich, and that was great. Just wanted to support Kevin and his team as well too.
Very good.
Yeah. And then had a hot pot at my mom's house. So
what if you went to Munir and then went to Beast and Cleaver, because they're like right across the street from each other?
If only they were open. You know, one thing I was thinking about with the lines waiting for Beast and Cleaver to open up, I'm like, that if you're familiar with that area, there's Larson's Bakery, there's a seafood shop, and there's Beast and Cleaver. I'm like, if I was at seafood shop, I'd be slinging seafood sandwiches.
Yeah.
Totally. It's a woman owned. It's a mother and daughter. That spot. I've been there like once or twice, and if they had sandos or just snacks, absolutely.
Seafood sandos. When people that show up to Beast and Cleaver, it's like, oh, there's another option.
Oh, look, this one's ready right away.
Po' boys.
Yeah,
sure.
Great idea. What else should I? Mark, you want to say a few?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I ate a lot of oysters this week because I am working on an oyster article, and specifically the assignment is to try to include some places or add some places to the existing list that aren't obvious oyster spots. So I went to Bar Bayonne as sort of that endeavor, and that's sort of a Basque-themed bar. They're owned by the same owners of Larson, but it is not as French. It's more in that region, and it's more casual. It's a real small kitchen kind of thing, and they do snacky bar snack type stuff. They do have a croque monsieur, but they also have oysters and beautiful fresh Baywater indigo oysters on this visit. Of course, they rotate through different varieties, but they're only carrying, I think, one at a time, and they prepared them beautifully. They were just so perfect and supple, and I thought, this has got to go on. And also, I think people sleep on Bar Bayonne quite a bit. Like, it's fairly
just not in the center of commerce. That's why.
Yeah, it's not in the center of commerce. It's fairly new-ish still. I think they're still a little ways away from their first anniversary. But every time I go there, I get in a great conversation with someone. Whether it's if there's even one person at the bar, that person will be a great conversation. The staff will be a great conversation. Cool. It's just a great vibe there every single time.
Cool.
And
I've been to Larson, but I've never been to Bar Bayonne. I should go.
Yeah, it's a lot more casual and chill. Larson is, of course, like a little more fine dining-ish.
It's fine. It's a fine diner. I went to a room for 1 minute and got that gray, that black sesame latte that is incredible. Like it was on one of my best things I ate all year, not last year, but the year before.
Yes.
It's the black sesame latte at a room, which is Vietnamese coffee, AROOM on
You said
Stoneway.
you went to a room.
I went into a room called a room, and that it's just there's a crash in the background.
It's like full on restaurant background right now.
It's like we're recording at a restaurant.
Exactly.
It is black sesame paste and heavy whipping cream that they put on top of this Vietnamese Fin brewed latte.
Okay.
Do not, as I did, order it iced because then the sesame cream it'll coat the ice and then you'll have robbed yourself of all of that delicious sesame cream unless you want to suck on every ice cube, which I did not want to do.
Okay.
So order it hot so that it melts into your drink and you actually get to consume all of it because you get greedy about that sesame cream. It's so delicious.
Yeah. It's almost like if cheese foam were made out of black tahini instead.
Similar. It's gray. It's not very appetizing to look at, but God, is it delicious. I went to Jewel. I went to a media dinner at Jewel for Kiona Vineyards, which is in Tri-Cities on Red Mountain. Yeah. They hosted a dinner. I had not been to Jewel. I'd been to Revel. I'd been to a few other of Rachel's restaurants, but boy, was I knocked on my ass.
Yeah.
Even more so when the whole block had a power outage. And Rachel Yang kept cooking. She had an assistant with one of those like wand influencer lights, like the Statue of Liberty holding it up over her, and she just kept prepping. And the food was so delicious. There's just a really magnificent short rib. She did a salad with pistachios and like a mushroom exo sauce. Boy, I was really, and this dessert was a coconut tapioca with starfruit and dragon fruit and melon, I think. Really just blew my mind. And we ate it in the dark, and it was amazing. And then light came. We were about to leave because we were like, we shouldn't make you prep in the dark. She's like, I think we have to wrap it up. But then the lights came back on, so we got to eat the whole meal.
Okay.
I enjoyed the Kiona wine as well. I had a Lemberger that I really liked. And I had an ice wine, which is when the grapes freeze on the vine and then they make wine out of it. And it's very sweet.
Ooh.
Very good dessert wine.
Yes.
Anything else? We went to Hood Famous, you and me. I had the longaniza breakfast sandwich with the egg on it. It was super good.
They're doing more savory stuff these days.
Yeah, they have more food. They also... Oh, go ahead.
I think they're intending to roll out even more savory items kind of as time goes by.
They also have a kiosk ordering system now.
Yeah.
So that's different. Bess and I went to Mint Progressive Indian Food, which I'd sort of been avoiding because it looked very Instagrammable, you know? It's up on First and Spring, and I was just like, I might not be like the age range for this. But it was very good, very Instagrammable and really good. Okay. We got little pani puri, and they gave you like the little soup to pour in. Yeah. And it arrived on like a miniature cart, you know, with the pani puri balanced on the shot glass of soup. I got a mango lassi with rum in it. That was very, very good. Had an orchid.
There you go.
We really enjoyed it, so I'll probably go back. I am, again, hesitant to say, you should go to like this really gimmicky restaurant, but... As the philosopher Mark DeJoy once said, if it tastes good, it is good.
Exactly.
I think you were talking about bagels and whether they're authentic or something, and you're like, if it tastes good, then therefore it is good.
Exactly. It is possible for a place to be influencer bait and have good
and
food.
Delicious.
It is rare. You know, I think we're sort of attuned to like, I can see the signs of bullshit, you know, in this reel that has been like, this is a new hidden gem. And it's like, you know,
the ones that are like, this is a hidden gem. Yeah. And it's in Greenwood. And I think it's the best thing I've ever eaten. Like everything's a question mark.
This is a hidden gem, and it's a white tower in the middle of Seattle Center. I went up the glass elevator, and I got a great view of the city. You definitely should check out the Space Needle.
You're doing like the 4 times speed.
Exactly.
That's how they do it because they want to put more in their sizzle shot. I learned that term from Michael Wong.
From Michael Wong.
The last plug I have is Sichuanese cuisine, which is on 12th and Jackson. We ordered it when we were working at the Stranger. We were working late, and we ordered takeout from Sichuanese cuisine, and I got the boiling fish and the cumin lamb.
Here it is.
And it was delicious, and we got the green beans with the pork in it, and it was just a very sumptuous feast. Sichuanese cuisine is really chill. It's like a white box. It's not fancy. There's nothing to it, and it is some of the best Sichuanese food that I have had in my life.
We
had a spread.
I also went to Ramy originally, and that's a really great modern Vietnamese place up in Capitol Hill, and I originally was there on my oyster mission because they have oysters on their menu. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this will be a great possibility to add to the map if their oysters are great. And they were. But I also discovered that they have a killer happy hour menu now, which I was not aware of.
Oh, cool.
And it's 5 to 6 in the dining room, but 5 through 8 in the bar. And it's just full of great little composed bites. And the thing I had there that I will be thinking about a lot now is a chicken croquette. And it's yellow curry, so it's got the sort of shredded chicken, shredded carrot, and potato in the inside, fried with the crisp crust, and it is in a lemongrass curry sauce as a bed, with smoked cheese atop it and ground lime leaf sprinkled over it, and it is such a great. I'm going to use the word sumptuous that you just use because it's a perfect description for it. It is a sumptuous bar bite, and it is.
It sounds beautiful.
Yeah,
too,
it is
the
beautiful.
way you describe it.
And yeah, I loved it so much. And I thought, oh my God, does anyone know about this happy hour? Because
now they do.
You got to. That's.
You finna tell them.
Yeah.
Now they know.
Yeah, you can post up to the bar, and they have beautiful drinks there.
Yeah, great cocktail program there.
That was developed by Jen Ray, who isn't the bar manager there anymore, but she stops in every now and then, and I think advises them still.
She wrote the drinks. Yeah.
I actually just ran into her the other night too.
Oh, really?
At Russell's.
Oh, yeah, that's the
Russell's
spot.
Industry Bar.
Yeah, she's serving and bartending a couple nights a week at Hairfest.
Hairfest.
Oh, yeah.
That's the new Brian Clevenger spot.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I also ran into Campeng from Taurus Ox.
Was that at Russell's too?
Just not at Russell's.
Could have been.
Weirdly enough, at Off the Res. And I was messaging him a couple days earlier because I wanted to find out if Taurus Ox still had oysters because I noticed them on their menu earlier. And he said they're just going to be a special every now and then from now on.
Okay.
But
cool. Get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
Campang, if you're listening. I don't know him. I've never spoken to him. I've never been to Taurus Ox, but
I would assume he's a riot because we follow each other on social media.
He's a legend, so I definitely want him to come on the show.
I definitely love Taurus Ox, and it was great to meet. It was the first time I'd met him in person.
I wanna.
Cool dude.
All right. Before we wrap it up, any plugs?
Any
got
plugs?
any pop-ups you want to advertise?
I've got a few pop-up concepts I want to mention.
Let's hear it.
Do it. Pop-up. Aw, pups.
Pups.
Yeah.
So actually, my friend Lainey, who's the bar manager at Russell's, she's going to be doing a pop-up. It's going to be to honor her dog Monty. So it's a Monty-based pop-up. And so there's that. My sous chef Alex, he's starting his pop-up called Quiet Child. Follow them. One of our prep cooks, she's left to really focus on her pop-up. It's called Good Neighbor Bakery. And then Lisa B, our GM Monty, and our wine lead Nick Kono. They've been doing their family meal supper club, so that's another one to follow as well.
Yeah.
Is there another one coming up?
I think they have one that they're planning for somewhere towards the tail end of March. They haven't announced it yet.
Yeah.
We had such a nice time.
It was.
As reported on this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so and then I mentioned those future Sophon collaborations with other chefs coming up, and then from other parts of the U.S. And then we're also planning a collaborative dinner after they get settled with Grand down in Tacoma. So we're gonna.
I follow them.
Yeah, so I've been chatting with them, and we've been kind of loosely talking that we want to do a collaborative dinner down there, and then a collaborative dinner up here.
Great.
And then for like a separate weekend, we'll do a restaurant swap where my team goes down there.
Smart.
And their team comes up to Finney Ridge and offer what we're doing down to those communities.
It's like trading spaces.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like wife swap.
Yeah.
Wife swap.
Remember wife swap?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do I ever?
He's not a Christian. Did you ever see that one?
No.
Where they had the lady from New Orleans go up to like somewhere in New England, and I think they were like secular Jews or something. So they had the New Orleans religious lady go up to New England, and the New England lady went down to the New Orleans, and the New Orleans lady came back and was just like, "They're not Christian. There's gargoyles." Like she was. I'll send you a link.
Wow.
It's
All
an
right.
important part of pop culture history. Mark, any plugs or things that you wrote?
Yeah, I mean, I will have written the oyster map by the time this episode comes out.
You better.
writing it. I'm finishing up tonight, and then it's going to probably publish,
Cool.
I would imagine, later in this week, maybe next week.
Cool.
It all depends on what the editing
Did you write
feels
the whole
like.
thing, or did you just edit it?
I just
update it?
So there are other, obviously I'm fact checking and evaluating what else is on there as well. But I am only adding 3, and there's sort of the 3 that are not obvious oyster places. There will be some obvious oyster places on there as chosen by the previous authors of the
I like
map,
imagining you going to like 6 or 7 places and just slurping the oyster and chewing on it and being like, nope, not it. Not going to be on my map. Forget it. Like $1.50 oyster being like, nope, goodbye. Just not going to cut it. I updated the dive bar map. I added Daryl's, importantly. And I added the Baranoff, which was not on there because it was closed for a while, right? And I don't know that people knew it was back open. I was like, the Baranoff seems obvious. You'd think people would know, but there's a lot of transplants and new folks in town. They need to fucking know.
Yeah.
Baranoff's back open under newish ownership.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little cleaner. I think they took the sea galley nets off the bar side.
They did, yeah.
I believe the plaques are still on the bar stools from the... No? Are they
They
gone?
aren't. They're
gone. Okay.
Which I think is a very bad move.
Did they bring back the serve yourself soup?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I went, the old, of course, you don't have the old lady bartenders anymore. That's sort of true across the city.
I don't think Vi's there anymore. She might have moved on.
Yeah. But, a very classic dive bar for the neighborhood. So, yeah.
It's still a dive bar as hell.
Yeah.
And they still have karaoke, and you'll still see people just breathtakingly drunk, profoundly and deeply drunk. And then I also added Al's because Al's didn't even have a fucking sign until about 2015.
Great
I felt
addition.
a little bit guilty for telling people about Al's, but I want Al's to continue to exist.
That's where it's at right now. We can't be withholding anything.
I can't be shy about Al's.
Yeah.
Folks got to know about Al's.
Yep, for sure. That's a great choice. Love it.
Not food, but also my feature on Tarika Waters will be in the print version of The Strangers Arts and Performance on the street, I think today. Read it. It's beautiful. Tarika Waters is fucking fascinating.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's it.
All right. Next week on the podcast, we have Kate Opatz and Nico Seal, whose name I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing correctly, but
Ciel, like the sky in Spanish.
Yeah, from Laurel, Montana Bar, Nacho Baracho.
Yeah,
and
it should be an interesting conversation. I'm excited to hear them talk about Laurel, their new spot.
Yeah, absolutely. We still got to make it over there.
Yeah.
In the ever.
It's nice that you can make it over there for coffee era, or you can go for cocktail hour.
I
They're
love
open
that.
from 2 to 2.
Yeah.
All right, folks. See you next week.
All right.